And from Buffalo.John via Instagram, we have, why do snowboarders feel they don't need their boots fit? That has a lot to do with the fact that there's just this, I don't really want to call it a stigma because that seems negative, but that when you're talking about the two winter sports, you got skiing and snowboarding. One of the big things for snowboarding is that our boots are more comfortable than ski boots. So people then think, especially just with the skate influence and all that other stuff, that they're just going to put their foot in it and it's just going to be comfy and cushy and wonderful, and then they're done. And a lot of this honestly has to do with snowboard brands, and they market these things as out-of-box comfy and super cush and plush, and you're just going to be able to put your foot in it and you're done, you can go ride. And the ski boot industry has done a fantastic job of convincing literally every single person that comes in to buy a ski boot that you're probably going to need boot work, you're probably going to need new footbeds, and that's just a reality that you're just going to have to deal with. And the snowboard industry has basically done the opposite. They've tried to convince all of their customers that this boot, whatever they're marketing for that boot, this boot is perfect right out of box. Just put it on, go ride, you're done. So I kind of blame the brands for it in a lot of ways.
It's that, and the other one that I always expected is snowboarding's looked at as the poorer person's sport,
Sure.
and it's just easier to get into, and it's this and that skate influence, and everyone's like, I just put it on. As it being cheaper, like skiing, it has this belief it's more expensive because, you look at an entry-level ski boot versus an entry-level snowboard boot, you're talking hundreds of dollars of difference.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing. I'm like, most people are like, well, they wanted to fit me and make sure it was right and understand me. The other thing is I think a lot of shops just fucking fail because they've got idiot kids that don't understand how their boots should fit.
Yep.
Fitting people and telling them, no, that's how you should fit. And they're like, I've literally bore witness in shops where people are like, yeah, you want to have wiggle room. You want to be able to like move your foot around. And I'm like, oh my God, that's the worst thing you could ever do. Like
the opposite of what you want
to do. And I think it's just a lack of education and an overabundance of marketing. Like, this is your out of the box fit. Realistically, it's probably about 5 to 10% of people that snowboard have an out of the box fit. Like they can just put a boot on and go ride, and they're never going to have problems.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone else is going to have an issue, and most issues are very simple to fix. Start with the footbed and go from there.
Yep.
But no one wants to be like, well, I just paid $280 and I have to buy a $30 footbed. Well, have you seen the stock one that's in there? It's a shitty piece of foam. Like, if I ever started a boot company, I'd be like, we don't even do footbeds. There's no footbeds. None.
Yeah, right.
Whatsoever. And I would, buy a aftermarket. I would partner with a company or two. And I'd be like, yes, you can use this coupon and you save 10% or whatever.
Sure,
And that's how I would view it like that. But I think it's a lack of education, a belief that you can just put anything on, as well as a belief of like, well, it's just like putting your shoes on and going skateboarding. And it's like, dude, Americans especially are the worst. They always buy footwear that's just too big for them.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, that's the other thing. That's half of trying to convince somebody that comes in to buy boots from me is, I pull their foot out and I put it on the Brannick and they measure out to a 9 and they're buying 10.5 in all their shoes. So the line that I give people nowadays is just that because you were raised that every time you bought shoes until you could buy your own shoes, whenever your parents would buy you shoes, they'd always make sure you had a little bit of extra room to grow into. So that's what you were trained to feel like was the correct fit. So at that point, everything you buy is too big. So that means when you go to buy snowboard boots that are supposed to be a performance piece of equipment and not a shoe, you're buying those too big. And the amount of times that I even had to do it the other day, because my final trick to try to convince somebody that no, your toes are not smashed against the end of the boot is pull a footbed out. Pull the footbed out, center their heel on it, space on the end of the footbed. If you see space on the end of your footbed after you pull it out, the boot's too big. Probably at least a full size too big at that point, if you can actually see space. Like, I can't see the end of my footbeds. You're not supposed to. Like, your entire foot is supposed to fill out the whole volume of the boot.
Yeah.
The whole volume. And if there's space at the end of the footbed, that means that's not happening. And I just love after I pull the footbed out and there's space there. And the dude's like, no, my toes are crunched up the end of the boot. No, they're not. I just showed you they're not.
Yeah, that's like the guy that I sized one time at a 9.5, and he was in a 13, and he was telling me they were too small.
Yeah.
He's like, my feet are slamming into the end, and I was like, are they sliding forward? No, they're just in there and they're crunched up. And I was like, dude, let me show you something. And the best quote out of his mouth was, I know more than you. I'm from Nebraska. And I was like, okay, cool. Let me sell you this size 14 and send you on your way, and fucking you can be miserable and continue to be miserable. But this is why we did Boot Fit Month. This is why there's the Boot Fitting 101 series. This is why I try to hammer it home on everyone. So it's there. Hopefully we're educating more people and getting better fits and stuff, and it will effectively prolong how many people are out riding more, which means they're spending more money, which makes the industry as a whole healthier. Yep. That's kind of everything I got to say on that.
Yeah, that's kind of boots.